It's my pleasure to once again have you join us on AgriBiotech, a program that highlights the role biotechnology could play in the development of the Nigerian agricultural sector. This episode is coming to you from the premises of the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, venue of the Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology and Biosafety Southwest Sensitization Workshop. I am Lara Afolayan. Knowledge is popularly described as power, and according to Benjamin Franklin, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And so it is all about knowledge sharing on today's edition of the program, as we bring to you efforts by the promoters of biotechnology for agriculture in Nigeria in collaboration with the Ogun State government to educate the Southwest Nigerian public on how biosafety could positively affect agriculture. We shall be bringing you highlights from the event, as we also get to see excerpts from the presentation made by former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo on biotechnology for agriculture, as he was also at the event. The Nigerian Academy of Science, which was represented at the event, shall also be sharing its thoughts with us on what it thinks about biotechnology for agriculture. And of course, not forgetting your emails too, as we shall be providing responses to them in the course of the program. For now, we begin with latest developments on biotechnology in parts of the world. The United States Food and Agricultural Administration, FDA, has approved golden rice. This marks the third positive international endorsement for the genetically engineered biofortified crop. The FDA says, based on information presented to it by the International Rice Research Institute, it has no further concerns on human or animal food derived from the GR2E rice at this time. The golden rice is expected to address the vitamin A deficiency, which leads to a serious disease estimated to affect 250 preschool children around the world. The deficiency can cause blindness and early death in affected children. The Food Standards Australia, New Zealand, and Health Canada approved the golden rice earlier this year. Ghanaian scientists have dismissed claims that genetically modified foods have health risks. The country's Alliance for Science, which includes a network of scientists and researchers, say no credible study has ever proven that such foods have had negative side effects in countries like the United States, Brazil, and South Africa, where they are widely consumed. It adds that there is evidence of lower rates of cancer in the last 20 years in countries where genetically modified foods have been consumed than in countries where they are not in circulation. Kenyan farmers want to be allowed to plant genetically modified cotton for improved yields and better income from farming. The farmers say they are battling with poor yields from planting the conventional cotton variety. The genetically modified BT cotton variety the Kenyan farmers want is enhanced with the Bacillus thuringiensis gene, a beneficial bacteria found in the soil, which is particularly effective against the African bollworm, the most destructive pest on cotton farms. The Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology in Nigeria is concerned with knowledge sharing and awareness creation for better understanding of agricultural biotechnology in Nigeria. OFAB has taken that awareness campaign to Nigeria's southwest to, among other things, educate the population in this part of Nigeria. This is among several efforts to promote better understanding of biotechnology in the country. A gathering of stakeholders in Nigeria's biotechnology and biosafety industry, scientists, farmers, students, policymakers, the international community, and one of Nigeria's past leaders as well. It is the Southwest Sensitization Workshop organized by the Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology, the National Biotechnology Development Agency, Program for Biosafety Systems, the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, in collaboration with the Ogun State government. Issues raised at the event centered around the importance of biotechnology to agricultural transformation in Nigeria in line with government's diversification drive.
According to Dr. Norman Bullock, a Nobel Peace winner and founder of the World Food Prize and father of the Green Revolution that averted the food crisis in Asia in the early 70s, hunger and peace never coexist. If you do not have food, you will never have peace. Therefore, food security is the panacea to peace in Africa, including Nigeria. And the issue of chronic hunger and micronutrient deficiency, which is also referred to as hidden hunger, that is widespread in Nigeria and other parts of sub-Saharan Africa, urgently calls for the deployment of the innovative tools of agricultural biotechnology to attain a second green revolution in Africa, particularly in the face of increasing climate change.
Science impacts everything in society: the economy, the health, agricultural production, the ability to do war or to defend itself. There is not a single aspect of science, of human life, that science does not impact. So as science progresses, the development of biotechnology is for people who are in science, in medicine, agriculture, animal production, and improvements.
Biotechnology will provide solutions to major challenges facing mankind. As globalization has gathered momentum and biotechnology develops rapidly, bioindustry has become an increasing rigorous challenge to global security, encompassing the political, military, academic, economic, scientific and technological, cultural, social, and many other fields.
This represents 110-fold increase, making biotech crops the fastest adopted crop technology in the history of modern agriculture. However, the benefits are yet to be felt in sub-Saharan Africa. And pundits say this undesirable situation came about mainly due to lack of political will, restrictive policies, low public investment. Of course, that's what we are experiencing, lack of political will, and then restrictive policies.
As a nation, and considering the rate of our population growth, we must understand that old methods and inputs of our forefathers can no longer feed us. In this regard, we need more improved methods and inputs. This is where biotechnology comes in. We have to come up with improved inputs, such planting seeds, seedlings and stems, cross-pollination and cross-breeding, all which will bring about more outputs.
The high point of the event was when former President Olusegun Obasanjo, worried by the present state of agriculture in Nigeria, called on the country to employ the use of biotechnology in changing the face of its agricultural sector. He adds that this is how the sector can recover its lost glory.
When I think about Nigerian agricultural development today, I cannot help but remember how promising things looked some few decades back. We had universities with agricultural faculties, research centers and research stations we could be proud of. Our graduates at universities or research institutes across the country were some of the best in the continent, and students came from all over Africa to study here.
This panel session at the event focused on using biotechnology as a tool that will allow for agricultural-driven prosperity in Nigeria. This includes areas of lower farming production costs for farmers, better yields for them, and richer nutritional content for indigenously produced food.
There is a problem of what we call generation sustainability in agriculture in Nigeria. The first is the youth. They don't want too much labor. They don't want too much hard labor. They also want to take agriculture as a business. It's not something you just do in the subsistent level. So for the youth to be able to really go into maybe growing maize, we need to bring in, maybe maize that is resistant to the pests that we run them out of business, and banks begin to chase them up and down.
Policymakers, you should know what the policymaker is interested in. Of course, what can contribute to the economy. You have to tell him, what is the government? What does the government stand to gain from this? Are you going to generate revenue? Revenue generation is what they want to listen to. And so the lawmaker who has a constituency, he wants to know what this technology can provide for his constituency, job creation, and all.
At the end of the event, organizers were positive the forum will help boost understanding of agricultural biotechnology in Nigeria's southwest. They expect this to contribute to agricultural enhancement and economic development of the region when the seeds are eventually commercially released.
In Nigeria's southwest, we'll be better than before. There'll be more business. We can use that to improve cocoa. Cocoa, when you plant it, it takes years. But with this technology, at least you can, bring down the gestation period. With this technology, you can do a lot of things.
Adoption of a technology is preceded by education, by awareness, by knowledge. If farmers do not understand a technology, if they have not seen it, if they do not know its benefits, they will not be able to adopt it. So the work that we do is try to create an environment that will allow the technology to be adopted.
The forum had at its theme, Agricultural Biotechnology, a tool for economic growth and development. Former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo is well known for his love for agriculture. He has one of the biggest farms in Nigeria and is also notable for his consistency in promoting agriculture in the country. Some have described his passion for farming as a divine virtue that will live long after him. The former Nigerian leader holds strong views on the use of biotechnology for agriculture, and as I said earlier, he was present at the sensitization campaign and had this to say.
Challenges of today's world have brought many pressures to bear on agriculture, population growth, insects and pest infestation of crops, weed, soil infertility, salinity, the impact of climate change, the need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, water and energy shortages. This scenario heightens the critical role of innovation to make agriculture a business more competitive and sustainable. Without innovative advances such as biotechnology in agriculture, far more land will need to be cultivated to produce the food we need today. The world's population has been estimated to be at about 9.7 billion by 2050. If agricultural yields stay the same, we will need to cultivate more than double the present amount of land to feed that population. That will mean 82% more of total land area on Earth. We have not got that land. Biotechnology is taking mankind beyond depth of understanding of chemical and physical possibilities. It has the potential to increase agricultural productivity, enhance food security, and develop better healthcare delivery system, boost efficient industrial development process for transforming raw material and detoxification of hazardous wastes and reduction in mortality rates. It will also move agriculture away from a dependency on chemical inputs, helping to reduce environmental problems. Other industries that should also be involved in pushing the frontier of biotechnology research and development to have all-inclusive growth in Nigeria are pharmaceutical, food and beverages, as it has been proven effective in Cuba. I am hitherto excited that Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology, OFAB, is a formidable platform for dialogue on the transformation of agriculture through quality information dissemination on agricultural biotechnology in Africa. It is therefore imperative to let the stakeholder here learn about biotechnology as an engine of growth of most developed and emerging countries and economies. Nigeria should not be left out in this arena. She needs to use biotechnology to create wealth and jobs, to stem the tide of migration, improve agricultural productivity and crop yields, and enhance foreign exchange earning potentials. Agricultural research institutes, therefore, have an obligation to address the anticipated growth in food demand and the need to provide a sustainable, safe, and secure food supply for the nation, and to assist in creating viable and sustainable agro-food sectors. It is essential that we come to terms with the fact that modern agricultural innovations are part of the solution rather than the problem. I stand in favor of using seeds and products that have a proven track record. Special case needs to be made to educate, inform, and influence those who are skeptical. There's a big gap between what the facts are and what the perceptions are. We must grow in our economy and be food secure and self-sufficient.
The Nigerian Academy of Science was also represented at the event. The Academy's Executive Secretary, Dr. Oladoyin Dubanjo, shares his thoughts with me on the use of biotechnology for agriculture in Nigeria. And joining me is Dr. Oladoyin Dubanjo. He is the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Academy of Science. It's good to have you join us on.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Now, what is the take of the Academy of Science on genetic modification for food production in Nigeria?
Actually, in 2016, the Academy did actually issue a policy brief that explained its stance quite clearly. And the stance is simple, is that this is science. This is not magic, this is science. So it's something that's been tested and proven. And the fact that as far as the Academy is concerned, based on available evidence, because the Academy acts like the Supreme Court of Science in terms of interpreting science, available science research. And the Academy's position, having examined available research, is that GMOs offer a lot of opportunities, for nutrition, for food security, and actually also the fact that there isn't so much incontrovertible evidence, or there isn't incontrovertible evidence actually, that says that GMOs are no good.
Okay, but we've had some arguments, against this technology, particularly that they portend risk for human health.
Well, a lot of argument you said, but not scientific argument per se, and it's like in Yoruba land, there's a saying when we talk of the fact that, the witch screamed yesterday, which means basically the witch screamed, yesterday, the child died today. Who didn't know, who doesn't know that it's the witch that screamed yesterday that killed the child today? But that's not evidence. That's at best circumstantial evidence, as the lawyers will say, meaning that, you just thought the circumstances were coincidental, and so you said it's the witch, but there's no proof that it's the witch. So really, there's no evidence. When we talk of evidence, there's no evidence that actually proves these things clearly, that the arguments try to make. So we can make a lot of arguments based on emotions, we can make a lot of arguments based on just fear of the unknown, but in terms of scientific research that followed proper procedure for science research, there isn't any.
What health benefits do you think food genetically produced could offer humans?
Well, it could actually be used to improve the nutritional value of foods. So for instance, it's been used to infuse certain micronutrients into certain foods in order to prevent some diseases. So where people perhaps in an environment might not have a lot of certain nutrients, you use this technology to ensure that the foods that they would normally eat in that environment now have that nutrient that they don't get, and thereby you prevent disease. So you can actually use it.
Okay, is the Nigerian medical profession, for example, looking forward to seeing a positive impact of this class of food on the medical profession?
Public health, if you talk of public health, you are looking at prevention of diseases. So if you have foods that have been infused with micronutrients, that will ensure that people don't come down with diseases like goiter, for instance. So we are talking about now people are putting in iodine in salt, just as an example of how people may want to put in something into another type of food that you wouldn't normally get from it. You're talking about vitamin A in sugar, It's just an example of how we like to put things into places where they don't normally exist. But you put it in them because people take this a lot. And if they do, it will prevent them from having disease. Then the medical profession is happy because you have fewer patients with those disease conditions.
Okay, what would you advise Nigeria, for example, on how we could, speed up efforts at, embracing this technology forward?
I think what we need to do is not also completely disregard the naysayers, but what the government needs to do is reassure everybody that it is taking the right steps. And that's what the Academy said in its statement, which is that government has to fund research, local research. So what are the areas of concern? Can we fund our local researchers? And I emphasize that, so you don't have the skepticism of all the research is coming from abroad. How can we trust what they are telling us? Fund our researchers well to do the research in the areas of concern and present to us their own results. That will further reassure everybody that we have the answers and we know that this is fine and safe and good for us. And then secondly, we need to also ensure that we properly fund the necessary agencies that deal with regulation of this of the GMOs.
What would be your message to those members of the public that have heard some negative things about this technology and are skeptical about it?
They need to ask questions, deeper questions. When people say something about it, is to say, what is the evidence for it? How is it proven scientifically? You know, because unless it's so, it's nothing but a myth, and it's nothing but the fear of the unknown. And the big issue is that if people go back in history, everything that is new to people or people don't seem to understand, they resist it, and they come up with stories around it. So that applies to coffee, which many of us drink now. We don't think twice about it. But there were battles fought over these things, you know, in the past when they were just being introduced. So we need to look, you know, all the way to realize that this is a natural reaction, but we must always stick by the evidence.
What will be your final take on this issue?
The final take is that we are talking about diversification of our economy. We need to be ready for this kind of battles. Because diversification of our economy will not just be, we are now planting many more crops. It will be about knowledge, about using science, technology, and innovation, which means that many new things will be coming up. And we must change our paradigm, our attitude, and be more open-minded as long as we can prove things scientifically.
Thank you, our esteemed viewers, for your feedback. They are well appreciated. Adeniyi Wale, you sent us an email saying you want to be linked up with a research institute or training center for internship positions on agricultural biotechnology. I have a response to your mail from the Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology. And from the rock city of Abeokuta, venue of the Agricultural Biotechnology and Biosafety Southwest Sensitization Workshop, where it has been a time of immense knowledge and information sharing on biotechnology, we draw the curtains on the program for today. Keep sending us your mails on what you think or want to know about the use of biotechnology for agriculture in Nigeria, and we will gladly provide responses to them. The email address as shown on your screen is agribiotech1@yahoo.com. Drop us a tweet at agribiotech13 or comment on our Facebook page, AgriBiotech on TVC. I am Lara Folayon, saying goodbye from the Gateway States.